I'd like to recommend to the town board that from here on in, they have a representative of the town board at the county meeting, because they have the meeting to discuss the gas bill. And so the town board is informed and has a voice on the county committee. So that's made the decision what's going to happen. And also, there's a tremendous amount of information and safety things being put out by the Landowners Coalition. And they have their own leasing that safety regulations that they go beyond what the DEC has for the building. You can get very well on their ideas on how to protect the landowner and a community. They have their own engineers and their own lawyers working on this for about 5 years. The Landowners Coalition. And when you said something before, the Landowners Coalition would pay $20 an acre, that's not 100% correct. If you have 500 acres, and the unit, the unit can take all that 500 acres, you don't only have to pay that $20 for that thing, you're not on the land that's not in you. So if they are
as far as what the lawyer gets paid, once that goes in, he gets $20. That's all I'm saying.
yeah,
Right.
but it's not on
Right, understood.
and they're going to do it on 200.
Right, but when that other part gets put in, the lawyer gets, all I'm saying is that lawyer makes $16 million. I'd like to address it since you just addressed me. On the safety, there's a concept in the law called strict liability. And what strict liability is, it's not a fancy concept that's been around forever. It's whenever there is something that's inherently dangerous. If you're going to do it, normally, remember I talked about the problems of proof. You got to show who did this. You got to show that it was B and not A. With strict liability, you don't have to do that. Strict liability, the law says, this thing is so dangerous that we're going to let you do it, but here on B. But as soon as there's a problem on her property here, she doesn't have to prove proof for any causation, and you just pay her damages because it's so dangerous we're not going to proof. Now the law here hasn't done that, but there's a way you can do that by contract. What happens, in my experience, and I've done a lot of these that will be pointed out on the other side, in my experience, people say this isn't dangerous. Trust me, we've got a lease, our landowner got our lawyer spent 5 years doing a lease, and it's a good lease. You show me that lease. By the way, for the record, I have done multiple billions with a B, closed or supervised multiple billions of dollars of commercial real estate transactions. So you show me that lease, which they won't, and I'll show you without looking at it, but if it's a 35-page lease, I promise I'll show you 7 ways that you can get hurt. Thank you very much. Okay? But leaving that aside, and that's not a shot at the lawyer, that's just, I've been there, that's what I did for a long time. But there's a way around this. You can say, so these people come in and they say everything's safe. But if one of you wants to sign a lease, and you go into a lawyer's office, and the lawyer does a lease with you, and it's the property's in your name, if that lawyer, this wasn't true 5 years ago, so don't go see a lawyer 5 years ago. But today, if you go in, and the property's in your name, and you say you want to do a gas lease, if that lawyer doesn't tell you to put your property in some other entity, like a limited liability entity, that's malpractice. That is legal malpractice. And the reason it's legal malpractice is because the activity is so dangerous. So most of the people, if you actually talk to them who have signed leases, and many of the people that you talk to don't have leases yet, that's why they're in landowners coalition. But when you talk to a person and ask them if they got a lease, ask them if the first or second thing that their lawyer said to them is, first thing to do is put it in an LLC, limited liability company, or an S-corp or something like that. And they do that to insulate themselves from the very real possibility that there's going to be liability here. That way, when this lady comes to sue B, she's not really suing B. She thinks she's suing Ma Jackson, who owns this property. She's not. She's suing Ma Jackson LLC. And it's thinly capitalized and there's nothing there to get. 3 years. If they haven't put it, if their lawyer didn't say to them, it's the second thing, you quote me. Because I'm telling you, as a 30-year lawyer, if somebody said something was malpractice, I'd lie down my chair. And I'm telling you, it's malpractice if they didn't put your property in an LLC and they let you sign a lease. 3 years